Okay, well, welcome to Stratford Ecological Center. I'm Jeff Dickinson, and this is April 2nd, 2022. And this time of year, as most farmers are, we're getting very anxious to get out and start doing things. But as most of you know, and certainly most farmers know, that the weather has not been working in our favor. And I can tell you without exception, this has been the most unusual winter that I've experienced in quite a while. It's been very wet. I've never seen the farm wetter this year over the winter. Of course, we've had our share of snow and ice, and I've seen water standing in areas that I've never seen standing before, and we have springs popping up left and right, especially behind me there as we go east towards the cornfields. So we're starting here because this is our barnyard, and barnyards are traditionally sort of sacrifice yards, especially for an organic farmer that likes to have their livestock out on a daily basis. And so I always plan on having a sacrifice field or two for the winter months and sort of stockpile in other fields that I've got, and I move the animals out to those fields first after I sort of break them in on some nearby small paddocks and get their room and condition again, because they've been eating dry hay all winter long. So they're actually quite capable to go out now and find little short blades of grass. But in the coming and going, this barnyard here, again, is in a state that I have never witnessed before. I generally have a very defined and clear path between the barn and the other fields that I'm sacrificing over the winter. But because of the mud, and most livestock do not desire to walk in mud, so once they create a mud hole, they continue to move around it, and they continue to widen the mud scar that we've got. And you'll see a couple stumps out there. Those are Christmas trees to give some minerals for the small livestock that like chewing on the fresh brush. But it's a pretty sad state of affairs right now because it's so wet. I can't walk in there without some really deep muck boots, and I can't muck because we use tractors and things, manure spreaders to get it out of there, and I just bury the tractor and the manure spreader in the mud. So everything's on hold. The stocking up of the bedding in the stalls is probably up to my knee in one stall. And as we walk down the visiting lanes, people are seeing the hoofs first thing when they walk by the animals. It's so tall and high. So I normally get a mucking done during the winter when the ground's frozen, but we didn't have a long frozen period either this winter. So it's for other crops that are going on around here. For us, the first one is oats with a sort of a orchard and alfalfa hay that I plant with it. March 15th is usually the day that we try to get that done, to give it enough cool season yet to produce a good oat crop. But we're already into April. I just checked the weather report, and we're going to have at least 3, 4, 5 days out of the next 10 that we'll see rain, significant rain. So everything's on hold, and it's very frustration bound, and most farmers like me sort of rethink why we're doing this. And as we continue this series of discussing how climate change is really impacting this farm in particular, there's some things going on underneath that most people aren't aware of in terms of the soil quality, the compaction, the structure, the nutrition, the quality of the crops that I can grow. So when I come back next month with another visit with all of you, we're going to get a little deeper underneath the soil here, and hopefully we'll see an opportunity to see more green in a month too. I was fortunate in a corral on the other side when we had a brief dry period in an area that drains very well and has a nice slope towards the south. And we had some good wind, which wind is a challenge and a problem, but also a savior for drying. I was able to do a shallow tilling with a rototiller, And it's a place where we had grazed hogs last year. It looked pretty rough. And I was able to broadcast oats and some rye and some clover and actually cultipack it, just slightly press it into the soil in hopes that it will actually take and germinate and grow. It was definitely too wet after we were done rototilling to plant it with a drill, which is my preferred tool for planting this time of year. But that's what farmers are all left with. Sort of do what you can, improvise, switch up the tools. Even if you got to walk on the seed in some instances, you just do what you got to do. So, hope to come back here maybe at this spot in a month, and maybe we'll see some green. Keep your fingers crossed, and we'll see you next time.